And so now we're going to go into our spoilers. So if you are not interested in learning anything about this movie and the spoilers, what happens, we're going to talk about specific things that occur, what we like most, what we don't like. So you should shut off the video now. There was I think we got in, there's pretty much like a good solid 10 minutes that are just standard in the beginning. And if you make that one first choice where you say you want to work at the company, then it flips you back to the beginning. Well, one of the first choices that you get.
Music.
Yeah, because those really don't matter.
Yeah, because the cereal and music ones in the beginning don't matter.
The cereal gets you an ad later.
That still makes you feel like it.
Yeah, but the ones you make a couple. So really, I think that if you went through and you did some choices that didn't take you back to try again, which was interesting that they sometimes made it so that you could just try again, and it made it seem like it was seamless in the movie. But also other teams, I think they were trying to, they just are sorry, you can't do this. You did it and it doesn't do anything, so go back. So I think that we went through the first version, about 45 minutes. I think if you went straight through different versions, you could probably do everyone in about 35 to 45 minutes, but then they kept switching you back. So we kept going back, you did this, and then it said, okay, now try doing this. I think that if you keep going back and forth, that's probably a good 3 hours worth of time.
It's important to note that all 5 of us watched some of it at one time, and then Rachel and I didn't care for it so much, so we left. So the boys did some more endings after that. So they know all the endings. Rachel and I do not know all of the possible.
We kind of did watch the whole thing. We went back a few times because it made us. We just didn't try everything else out because that's what drives you crazy and that's what they want you to do.
We watched a complete movie. You just watched many.
We watched many different versions, alternate endings, which, again, the meta part of the movie is that there's a whole lot of different endings and there's parallel timelines, and that you basically can take parallel timelines at any time. And if you go down the path where he follows Colin and then you take the acid, and then he starts talking about all the parallel timelines at the same time, and the things that you don't really die. If you die in this life, you'll continue on in a different timeline. So it does that, and it talks about the fact there's a bunch of different timelines. So you guys watch we watched through a couple times where he goes to jail, and so there's many that end up with him in jail, and I think that is interesting. With slight variations on them, there's different ways to get there, but you pretty much end up in jail, like a choose your own adventure book. So in Ryan, I think we went through maybe 15 endings or something like that. Do you think there was more endings that you read about?
There was 2 we missed, and I'm pretty sure there were still kind of.
So what were the 2
endings? There's one where, after you kill your dad, one of the people, I think it generates at random, one of the people comes to your house, and at one point you can get Kitty, which is Colin's wife.
Colin the boss or Colin's wife were options that were variations on who came to you.
Yeah, or Colin's wife comes, and then the dog from next door, which they alluded to in the beginning, digs up your dad's grave and you go to jail.
Okay, so I thought that might be one of them, because why would you show the dog in the beginning and not have the dog end up being...
You said the dog would be the death of us.
Okay.
So he killed his dad.
So, what was the other one?
It's the safe in Dad's
the
room.
Dad's room.
I think if you enter JFD, which are the initials of the original writer of Bandersnatch, you get a jump scare where basically you turn around and his head's lunging at you, or maybe you just see his head. It's of the crazy.
Because we got one of those when we entered the PAX, I think was the option. PAX, which is the name of the monster.
That is the Fate.
Yeah, but the
demon of Fate.
So the demon is called Pax in this. It's the Bandersnatch book and also the game. And so the demon, there's a couple of scary versions where it comes after you and you see the demon basically lunging for you. If you go into the room and you start entering in the codes. Other questions about the...
What happened in the version where you jump off of the roof rather than Colin? Or off the balcony?
So the version where you go in to talk with Colin, you take the acid, and then you have the option. They go outside at the end, and you basically says one of us is going to jump, and so we tried Colin jumping the one time, and basically like I think it's pretty nondescript. I think he wakes up in the doctor's office again. It's a dream, and then the version where you jump, Stefan jumps. He falls to his death, and then they say that it's the video game. They go to that ending where the video game is being reviewed, and then basically it's like it looks like, you know, unfortunately, if everybody remembers that Colin or that Stefan was trying to create the Bandersnatch game, but he had met an untimely death, and he met an untimely death, I think, and then they rated like, oh, they did this really quickly to get this out there, and it's not very good.
It's that he was in the doctor's office when he jumped in his dream, and basically he closed his eyes for a few seconds.
That's
a different one.
That's a different one. Yeah. So that one he ended, and he and basically it was just that he died and that the video game was finished poorly, and you got like two stars on the video game.
Are there versions where you don't kill your dad? Because
Yes.
it kept bringing us back to kill your dad.
There are versions where you don't kill your dad. So there was one version which I thought there were several ones that I thought were most interesting, but the one that I thought was kind of I don't know if it brought it to a conclusion in the way, but it was interesting. One version you go and you get the bunny rabbit out of the safe. You put in toy and you get the bunny rabbit out the safe, which I thought was cool, where you could put different codes in and you got different endings or different versions of it. But you put in toy, you get the bunny rabbit out there, and then you actually
travel back in time.
Yeah, one of them you go. Yeah, that's the different one because I'm wrong. You go back in time. You put the bunny rabbit. Stefan puts the bunny rabbit back underneath the bed, and then he actually has it there when the mom comes to get him. So the one where he goes back and he gets the bunny rabbit, he puts it back underneath his bed. Again, I don't remember exactly how he got there, but he puts it back under the bed, and then there's a choice. The mom comes in. He finds the bunny rabbit. The mom says, "Oh, are you going to come with me?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I got my bunny rabbit." And he says, "Do you want to go with the mom?" Oh, and then she says, "Well, we're already too late to get the 8:30 train. We'll have to take the 8:45 train, which is the train that crashes." So you get a choice. Do you still want to go with the mom, even though she's going to take the 8:45 train again? So one time we said, yes, we still want to go with her. And then the little boy goes on the train with her, and you see them riding in the train holding hands. And then it goes to black.
You assume
But
they
then-
both die in a crash?
Nope. Then it goes to black. Then you come back in, and it shows somebody holding Stefan's hand in real time in the doctor's office again, the psychiatrist's office. Yeah. And the psychiatrist is like, he was just there. He closed his eyes, and then he was just here. And then another doctor says he's dead. He's dead. And she's like, I don't understand. He closed his eyes. That's it. He closed his eyes, and now he's dead. And that's the end of it. So he has a vision or whatever that he goes and changes time, goes back, puts the bunny rabbit there, goes with his mom on the train, and dies in real life.
What happens if you don't take the acid?
You have to.
Yeah.
So
Then he slips it in your tea.
he slips it in your tea. He gives you. It seems like you have a choice, but that's one of those ones that you don't really have a choice.
Are
You
there
have a choice. It's really only.
Are there any other times when there's one point in the I think it was in the therapist's office where the choice was to bite your nails or pull your earlobe, and he was fighting the choice. Were there any other times
there's no
that
way
he
you can
overcame?
There were.
Okay,
There
yeah.
were a couple of times, like when there was one where the game crashed, and then he had the option to spill tea on the computer or destroy the computer, and you can pick either one, and then he'll be like about to do it, and then he'll stop himself,
Yeah.
and then that's when he'll look up and say like, who's doing
Who
this
are
to me, and then like you have to show a sign, which that's really cool too. Do we say anything about that
If you
yet?
show Netflix.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
So do we want to?
Well,
Okay, so there's one of them. So you can choose the glyph symbol, or you can choose Netflix. So choosing the glyph, basically, he's like, oh, well, somebody's controlling me. His dad comes in. They walk into the kitchen. He murders his dad, and then
Basically, anytime you choose the glyph symbol, you get to the murder.
yeah,
Like the murder, some way you get to either murder just the dad or get to murder other people and the dad,
Yeah.
and then go to jail.
But if you choose Netflix, it's actually really cool. What it does, so you can click Netflix, and then it'll say on his computer screen, like, we are watching you on Netflix, which is like an online streaming service, and then it tells him, what Netflix is, and you can choose to explain it to him. So it'll explain to him what Netflix is, and then he thinks that he's going insane.
He's super
Dad.
confused, and and the dad comes in. He explains it to the dad. Dad thinks he's crazy. Then he goes to the psychiatrist again. She starts talking about what Netflix is to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist, of course, thinks he's crazy because this is 1984 and doesn't know what Netflix is. And so they end up talking about it, and then you can do a couple different things in there. Basically, it's like the psychiatrist asks, doesn't this seem boring to you? If this is all the entertainment for somebody else, wouldn't you be doing something more exciting than sitting here and talking to me? And then you get a choice of say like, yeah, it should be more exciting, or definitely it should be more exciting. And so then you go, and essentially it goes into you throw tea into the psychiatrist's face. She breaks out nunchucks or something like that, and so like, let's fight. Yeah, let's fight, and then you can say, let's continue to fight her, and then you fight her, like they do a karate thing, and then the dad comes in, and you're fighting with the dad, and eventually just get dragged out like in a chokehold by the dad.
Yeah, and then he goes back to the beginning.
Then he goes back to the
Or
beginning.
you can, when she prompts you to fight, you can jump out a window, and then they yell cut, and it turns out that this was all a set for Netflix. One of the actual Black Mirror people is there, and it's that.
Yeah, and it's all
like the actor of Stefan is going crazy and kind of devolving into his character because that's not part of the script, but he's still doing it because he thinks that.
Basically, it
that's
goes
his character.
real meta again, and it comes out, and you're like, you're on a soundstage. This is all fake. Like, and she talks to the actor, and it's Michael, do you understand this? You can't actually do that. That window isn't real. And he's like, what? I'm Stefan. And he's just like, can we get a doctor down here? And so it just pulls back basically out, and that ends that storyline, saying you can't do that.
There's one more where he doesn't kill his dad, I think. It's where, I'm not sure how, it's where you go to the psychiatrist's office. You have the choice to follow Colin or go there. I think you go to the psychiatrist's office, and you talk about how you don't think you're in control of your life. She ups your prescription, and you can choose to take the pills or flush them. I think you need to do something else to take the pills. But if you take it, you don't kill your dad, and the game is released.
Right.
But you get a 2.5 out of stars because the pills dulled your creativity. So the game's not terrible, it just doesn't...
Yeah, and
it's
you
not
don't kill
what it
your
should
dad,
be.
and just kind of continues on, and that's an option, and that's kind of the end of that story. But it's clearly the boring end, and they actually do prompt you to like, would you like to go back, and in kind of interesting way say, would you like to go back and try something different?
The glyph symbol, I know we have seen that I've only seen a couple of episodes of Black Mirror, but that glyph symbol was in one of the episodes that we saw. Is that
White
a
bear.
common thing? And
They
is it a motif that recurs
There are
in Black
several
Mirror?
different references from other Black Mirror episodes
But that one makes
to
no sense.
like in that one.
'Cause I think there's one conspiracy is if you choose that symbol and then you go into your dad's office and you unlock the safe, you can choose, I think it's the PACS, which is Program and Control Study, and there's that symbol next to his name, which kind of makes sense because in the glyph in the other episode that was in, it's
White bear, I think it was.
White Bear, they're wiping her mind and making her go through this because of something she did. So it's still kind of the same. The symbol kind of means the same thing.
Yeah. So they could be linked in the same universe. This is 1984, and I think that other one's supposed to be in the future. It could be that this is supposed to be in the same universe. I think the real answer is that the same director or writer that did this movie, Bandersnatch, also did those other episodes, White Bear and something else. So they probably intentionally had some kind of crossover in mind for those who knew what that episode was. And they make another reference to Nosedive, which is a different episode, and those kind of things that I think are for Easter eggs for people that watch Black Mirror.
Because that was Colin's video game.
Right.
Nosedive was a video game.
So there was one of the episodes called Nosedive about social media liking and stuff like that. So I think they've done some Easter eggs like that. But that probably one, like Ryan was saying, is the most, you could see most connections in the universe kind of way that could be this program and control, could be the same group that does program and control stuff in the White Bear episode. So that's good point. So one of the main endings I would say that you can get to is where the video game is released. It actually does very well, like 5 stars, back in 1984, but then they subsequently find out that he has murdered his father and potentially other people, but he murdered his father for sure. The video game comes out fantastic, but then he gets arrested, goes to jail, and then you go like flip forward in the future and you're interviewed. There's a newscaster saying somebody's taken this video game that had been pulled from the shelves because of all the grisly murders that had happened around it, and but now somebody in the current day is trying to adapt this into a new video game, and you meet this other red-haired woman.
That person is Pearl, which is Colin's and Kitty's daughter.
Right.
So she says, like, my father was a video game designer as well, which is Colin.
Which they don't expressly say, but if you look up online and look at it, it's Pearl. So you do kind of a connection there. And
Colin was arrested for controlled substances. Like, he had the acid, so Colin was arrested.
Yeah.
And then,
so the what happens there is essentially what?
Or maybe jumped off the balcony.
Yeah.
I don't think you got to that one. Yeah. But the main point is that you get to this part where the video game is successful, it gets pulled from the shelves. Then you get to the part where you meet this Pearl woman who says, I'm trying to adapt the video game. And then they're saying, well, we hear rumors you're trying to adapt it for Netflix. And she says, well, I can't speak to that. And then you get to see a shot of her working on the movie, and it does show the beginning part of the movie, and she gets really frustrated with it, and yeah, it says Bandersnatch on it, so you know it's the same movie she's working on for Netflix.
And then she's trying to play the Bandersnatch, the Netflix version, but then it crashes in a quick White Bear symbol, or the program and control study symbol, and then you can choose to throw T over computer or destroy it, and either one leaves you, and it sends you back. So that's basically the end. One of the major ends to it.
Is it like she's being controlled too now?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to think that whoever's working on the Bandersnatch is kind of going crazy, whether they're being controlled, externally or not, but they feel like they're being controlled, and that there's like you are in a choose your own adventure, and so it gets really meta there, where it's obviously she's working on the movie that you've been watching, but either option of breaking it or throwing tea on it gets you to the same place. Now we did try a couple things I thought were interesting too. Where we thought, well, we're over, we've seen it all, but then we did a couple other little things that changed it, and so like the boss at the software company will come instead of Colin will come to the house, and then you kill.
You don't.
You don't kill him, but you see him. Actually, you do kill him, I think, at the end. And you
yeah, and it's like, what's this? And he wants to see Bandersnatch, and they see your dad lying down on the floor, and then you pull out your knife, and you're just like, oh. And then you kill him.
And then it goes to the end credits again, where being Stefan's in jail, and now they talk about the fact that he killed both his father and the head of the software company.
And, the one with the Netflix and Pearl, that's the one option you can get to where instead of burying your dad, which is how you get all the other people coming to your house, is you chop up your dad, and you're happy but then they see in the background before you're arrested that you have your dad's like head like on your dresser. So you basically go crazy like the original Bandersnatch writer. He decapitated his wife.
A good review, you don't get arrested, but it's dark.
Yeah, it's
So
all
that's
dark.
why
Yeah.
another reason I don't like the movie, because there's no like good ending. It's still gonna be Dad's head on the
You get
There's
arrested
also,
half
there's
the
also
time.
like zero comedy in the movie. There's like maybe one line that's like slightly funny, but other than that, there's
Yeah,
no
Colin's
comedy
like the
whatsoever.
only funny person in the movie.
Yeah, I think there's definitely parts that are darker than others, but there's not really any light parts in it. It's all, like you said, they all kind of end badly. I think that the nicest ending is probably either him getting the 2-star review and his dad living with him, and that's kind of a very ending.
With the pills?
Yeah, where he takes the pills.
Take the pills, it comes out, it's rushed, it gets 2.5 stars.
Right.
That's
Or the ending, which is still dark, but the ending where he's somehow goes with, the psychiatrist, which is at least a little closure for him, but it's not
You
really.
can choose no as well, but I think if you choose not to go with your mom, it's all just the same.
Yeah, if you choose not to go to your mom.
Because
just,
you
like,
found
go-
it this
Same
time,
thing
but you're
happened.
still not going, so your life just continues like it was the
She still
same
dies.
because she still died.
And some of them do become very loopy, which is, while I said you can get to some different variations on what they say, it's essentially just looping you back into a similar storyline where you're like, okay, now I'm going to make a similar choice. I have to choose Netflix or this, Netflix or the bear symbol, the glyph. So there's really not a lot of different choices that you can make in that sense. But it does take a lot of time if you want to go through all the different options. And again, I think it's interesting that way if you enjoy that. If you just want to see a movie, which I think, as you were stating, it's not as...
I think if you ever read Choose Your Own Adventure books, and if you ever got frustrated because every time you had to make a choice, if you thought there was not any good choice, or what you would do was not one of those options, that's how I felt with the movie. So in that, so I guess in that respect, it's good. It's true to its source material. That was one of my major frustrations. Why is there only options to kill your dad or kill this person?
Right.
Can't we just not kill
Either
him?
kill your dad or back off. And if you back off, I'm pretty sure the story ends. Or is that
Yeah,
where-
you go back to the
your dad
psychiatrist and...
calls it psychiatrist. And at one point, I think, I don't know, you find out about the program and control, and then you kill your dad, and then you have to dial the number to the psychiatrist, and you're like, I know about the study, I killed my dad, I'm coming to kill the psychiatrist next, and then you bury your dad and get arrested.
Yeah.
Which is the same for most. There's one with the program and control study again, instead of the toy where you find it, it's that one where it's basically Inception, where your mom leaves, you're all in a set room, and you're being drugged and tested on, basically, to see what your response would be to your mom leaving and dying, even though you're just in the set.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't understand that part.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a big test, and that you get to see oh, you've been in this big test program your whole life. This program and control really exists. If you've watched Bandersnatch and you want to leave your comments, please leave them below. Do you like it? Do you think it was good, bad? We are going to have some we did have some spoiler talk, so if you want to put some of your ideas of what you like best about the endings, then good. If we missed some things that you thought were really cool, comment on that. Subscribe. Thanks to everybody who's already liked and subscribed. We hope to do
Notification button.
in the notification button if you want to know when we're doing more movies. We appreciate everybody participating and joining the channel. Hopefully we'll have more movie reviews in the near future. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.